Today we're going to be diving into the topic of alignment, and I'm going to be trying something different. I'm in a new space. I just moved to a different country. I don't have my office set up, and normally I do this whole thing where I have the lighting and the script and everything's very well planned out and orchestrated. And today I'm just not in a position to do that. And I thought, why should I let myself be held back by not having a space set up? I don't want to stop sharing messages that are coming to me. I don't want to stop living out my purpose just because I'm in a new space. So I just decided, let's go with it and let's just see what happens. I have my notes, I have an outline, but not my usual style. So bear with me. Today's topic is creating a life of alignment and what it'll feel like when you're locked in. Before we get into the message, I want to give you a little backstory and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty. First, I want to just share a little bit about why I've been away from YouTube, because this does relate to the message for today. But I moved to a different country. So for the last 2 months before this move, and now I've been here a month already, still trying to get settled. I didn't even have internet for 2 weeks. Before I moved, I was packing, I was arranging all the details. And so I've just been out of my routine. What I'm purposefully trying to live out is to come back into alignment. And that's exactly what this message deals with today. So what I've been sitting with in the last few weeks as I've been living in a new place, speaking a different language, learning a new lifestyle, is that we have to be very intentional with our daily choices. We have to be very intentional about the people we surround ourselves with. We have to be intentional about our environment and our surroundings, not only where we live, but where we work, even the city, the country, everything in our surroundings, our homes. All of this plays an impact on our ability to live our lives fully and authentically. If we are in spaces that don't feel like home, if we are in spaces that make us feel small or judge us or dismiss us or don't truly see us, support us, and love us as our true selves, then it's very difficult to stay in alignment with the life that we desire. I have lived this out. I'm sure you've lived it out too. And so today the message I want to share is just about how do we get ourselves back into alignment? What are some of the different forms of alignment that can impact your flow, your purpose, the way you feel physically, emotionally, mentally? And then how do we get ourselves back on track when this happens? So that's going to be the focus of this message today. To start off, I want to share how I got here to this other country to make a bold decision to create alignment in my life, or I should say to realign some things in my life. This is a process because I made huge changes in my life 6 years ago, and then I noticed that I was again starting to feel the same way. It's like the more you grow and expand and keep learning and keep working on yourself, you're eventually going to grow out of spaces. You're going to grow out of jobs that don't fit you anymore. You're going to grow out of places where you live. You're going to grow out of relationships, friendships, all kinds of things. We're constantly evolving and changing. There's going to be a period of time where you reach a point and you just don't feel like you're satisfied or comfortable, or you know deep in your heart that your soul is calling you for more. And these things happen in phases, right? So in my situation, I was in a job that was at one time my dream job. Like I had this job, it was exactly what I needed and wanted at the time. I started this job about 7 years ago. And at that point in my life, it was exactly the change that I needed. And it gave me the freedom that I wanted. It gave me the fulfillment that I wanted. I was able to use my gifts a lot more in that position. But after a period of time, just certain things with that job were wearing me down. I went through extreme burnout, mostly my fault because I wasn't maybe able to balance things with personal life, work life, and all the different responsibilities that I was carrying at this job. I had to wear many different hats. And it came to the point where I was so burned out. I felt completely underappreciated. I felt like I had reached the peak of my growth in this place. And then personally, I just knew that I wasn't meant to stay in the place where I was living, in the city where I was living, in the state where I was living, and even in the country where I was living. It's just like everything was feeling friction. You know, it's like you get to this point and you'll know when something is out of alignment, because you get to this point where it just, everything doesn't flow. It just feels, how would you say it, abrasive. Like, this person's annoying me. This job just doesn't feel like what I want to do anymore. The city doesn't feel like me. It doesn't feel like home. It's not bringing me life. It's not life-giving. It's not inspiring me. It's not helping me grow. You just reach this place and then you get to this feeling where you just, it's like, ew, this isn't what I want. I really need something different. And that's kind of the place that I reached a couple of months ago. Actually, it was more than a couple of months ago. I was waiting for divine timing to give me the opportunity to make this move. Divine timing meant doing all the research to get all the plans in place and get all the details lined up. It meant lining up my finances. I had to have savings. I had to plan for the timing of when to leave my other job. I had to think about what kind of work I would do here. And there were just so many things. Making sure my family was settled. I had to find a home for my doggie, and I'm still really sad. I'm sad to leave my dog and my family and all of it. Things take time. So even though we may feel uncomfortable and we may know without a doubt that we're not in the right job, we're not in the right relationship, we're not living in the right city, or at least those things aren't fulfilling us or nourishing us, it may not be the time for us to make a dramatic change. We may need to have patience for things to fall in line. You know, you can't just uproot everything in your life all at once, because that is very unsettling. It'll send your nervous system into flight, fight, or freeze mode, and you literally will be so overwhelmed, and you'll just be trying to put out all the fires that you have going on, that it won't actually be serving you to up and leave everything or quit everything or end all of the relationships, the job, the things that are not in alignment. You have to do this strategically. So I learned that I needed to have patience with some of these things, and that I needed to feel into the timing. When was the timing right? When would it make sense to do these things? And also, you know, if other people are involved, how can I make these changes with the care and concern of others involved? So that's what I want to say, the care and concern of others involved. You know, you can't just uproot or end a relationship without taking the other person into consideration. So there's just a lot of pieces that go into making changes that bring us into alignment. So I left the job that was unfulfilling. I left the state, the country that was unfulfilling. I came to a place where I believed, I received this soul confirmation when I was here the last time. I came to a place where I believe I am meant to be. It is the only place I felt called towards, the only place that I felt like I could truly do the work that I was meant to do here on this earth, which is to be a guide for the Great Awakening and to create my art, writing and poetry and that creative side of me. It needs a place where it can flourish. And so I just felt like when I came here that this was the place I was supposed to be. So I made those steps intentionally to bring my life into alignment. It's like I can't stay in this job that I'm no longer growing in. I can no longer live in this place that feels like it's stifling me. I can no longer be around the same type of people and the same environment that I've always been in. I needed something fresh. I was ready to move to the next chapter. And if you really want to get woo-woo, right now, this time that we're in, November 2025, the fall of 2025, we're going through huge shifts in humanity, and we're all feeling this push to come into alignment with our higher purpose. And so right now, there is no coincidence that I was feeling that I needed to make this move right at this very moment in time in my life. In the shifts that are happening worldwide, it makes complete sense. It also aligned with things that were happening with my own family situation. So here I am, and now I'm at the point where I'm working to realign. Okay, I started all over. I got rid of all of the things that weren't suiting me anymore or didn't feel like they were nourishing me anymore. And now I have to create a new life or put the pieces in place to align with my next timeline. That leads me to the next point, which is to share with you some ways that you can recognize when you're out of alignment. And then I'll come back to what has worked for me to realign things in my life, what I'm currently doing to do that, and what you can do as well. First, I want to just talk about how do you know when something's out of alignment, other than that inner angst that I talked about, that feeling that something is just off. Some of the other signs to look out for are bodily signals. Your body is so intelligent, and when something is not right in your life, whether that's a relationship, a job, something that you're doing with your health or your self-care, could be the place where you live, etc., your body is going to scream at you. First, it'll whisper. It'll be a little whisper like, oh, I get this little, twinge in my nerve, and maybe your sciatic starts acting up. Maybe you have this neck ache. It'll be a subtle whisper. Maybe you start having, tummy trouble, digestive issues. And then you kind of ignore it and you take some medicine and you're like, oh, well, I don't know what that is. That's weird. It'll go away. And then after a while, the whisper turns into a shout and your body starts shouting at you. Maybe you get so ill that you get taken out, like you have to stay home sick, or you have to have surgery, or you have to go to a doctor and several doctors to figure out what's going on with you. Maybe, it's just something where it's a combination of things. Like you just feel so terrible in your body. Like you've got aches and pains, you've got digestive issues, you can't sleep at night, you have anxiety. There's multiple things going on with you. You get to that point and your body is just screaming at you, hey, pay attention. Okay, something is not right here. It is up to you, or us then in that case, to stop and assess what's going on. Am I in a relationship that is harming my well-being? Am I in a job that's harming my well-being? Are my surroundings harming my well-being in some way? You have to really stop and think, okay? If you just ignore all the signs that your body's giving you and you just plow ahead like nothing is wrong, it's going to get to a point where you're going to have something very major happen. So you want to avoid that, obviously. You want to listen and respond early. So bodily signals is one way. Number 2, you'll know when something is out of alignment in your life when you feel stifled or stagnant. It's like, I don't feel like I can fully express myself. I don't feel like I can fully use my gifts in this place. I don't feel alive in this place. I feel stifled. I feel trapped. I feel stagnant. I don't feel like I'm growing. I don't feel like it's exciting to me. I don't feel like that sense of curiosity and wonder that I used to have. That's kind of the stagnancy that you're going to arrive to. So stifled or stagnant energy is another sign that something is out of alignment. And then again, you have to stop and ask yourself, okay, well, what is it exactly in my life that's causing that? Number 3, you'll notice when something's out of alignment in your life when you cannot speak your truth. If you're in a relationship where you cannot communicate your needs, your feelings, where you can't bring up issues that are bothering you, where you can't openly communicate because the other person shuts down, they get dismissive, they invalidate your feelings, those again are all signs that that person or that relationship is not in alignment with your highest and best good. This can happen in family relationships. It can happen in work relationships, in friendships. When you notice that it's like, I'm not going to even say anything because I know that this person won't even understand me. Or I'm not even going to bring up this issue because I know when I did so last time, this is how they reacted. That is a very good sign that perhaps that relationship is not serving you anymore. Okay, next is when you feel like you have to dumb yourself down or shrink yourself. And again, if this could be in a work environment, it can be in the city where you live. Maybe you live in a rural area and you're a city girl. Maybe you have like really big philosophical thoughts and you live in a place where people are very closed-minded or simple-minded. It could be a relationship. It can be any situation where you feel like you have to dumb yourself down. So you're not able to speak freely and openly about all the things you know, all of the information that you have, or not in an egotistical way, in a very open way, I guess. It's like, you know, what you know to be true in your heart, what you know intuitively. When you get to this place on your spiritual path where your gifts are really opened up, you read people, you read energy, you sometimes get visions, you sometimes get premonitions, you can sometimes see what is coming, you can see people's intentions, you can read people's energy. And if you can't say clearly, hey, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm observing, this is what I'm perceiving, this is what is intuitively coming through to me, then that person, relationship, work environment, or living environment is probably out of alignment. Lastly, you will feel just this discontent. I kind of talked about that already, but you'll feel friction, okay? So like you and your partner, you just butt heads on every single thing. It's like you can't agree on anything. They don't see your perspective or point of view, and you don't see theirs. They want to do one thing and you want to do another. And it's like there's no blending. There's no harmony. That's another sign that something is out of alignment with your soul's path or your current level of growth. This can happen in jobs too. Like you might just have friction. It's like, okay, I'm trying to do this thing and this person doesn't like my idea, or this isn't just flowing. Like this project that I wanted to do, it's not working. It can be so many different things. Any kind of friction or discontent is a sign that there's resistance. And when there's resistance, it's because we are pushing up against something that we're not supposed to push up against. We are going against the current instead of flowing with it. And when situations are not on the same frequency as us, when they're not aligned with our energy, with our values, with our mentality, with our rhythms, then we're going to feel friction and it's going to be really uncomfortable. So notice the places where you feel uncomfortable, and that is your sign that you need to probably shift and go in a different direction. All right, so we've talked about what it feels like when something is out of alignment, but what does it feel like when you're in alignment? You've probably noticed when you're with somebody that you just click with. It's like you can read each other's thoughts, finish each other's sentences. You never get bored together. You love talking to them. They mentally stimulate you. They're emotionally supportive for you. It just feels like a a free flowing back and forth exchange of energy. That is what alignment feels like. Alignment feels like ease. It feels like flow. It feels like excitement. It feels like energy and vitality. It feels like things are effortless. Like you don't have to force things. You don't have to work so hard. There's not friction. There's harmony. There's peace. There's this sense of belonging and acceptance and being able to be your true authentic self. That is what alignment feels like. So we talked about what alignment feels like in your body. To piggyback off that, I just want to mention that alignment is beyond just, relationships and your job and your living environment. Alignment extends into a lot of other areas. And some of these other areas that I'm going to touch on might be areas you don't really think about. Another form of alignment is your chakra alignment, okay? When one of your chakras is out of balance, your energy just doesn't flow, okay? This can mean that your spiritual gifts are cut off. It can mean that you start noticing emotional blockages in one of the chakras. For example, your solar plexus is tied to your confidence and your comfortableness being seen, okay? So when your solar chakra is blocked, it's just, you're not going to flow and you're not going to be as confident in that area. So chakra alignment is another form of alignment. And once you really learn to tune into your body, you will get so good at recognizing when a chakra is out of alignment or an emotion is blocking you, that you can pinpoint exactly which chakra you need to be working on. Okay, so that's one area. Another area that we may not think about as being alignment is the mind, body, spirit. If you, let's say you are very much in your head and you're constantly feeding your brain with information and news and reading and stimuli, like it's just constantly pouring in there, and you're neglecting your body. You don't notice your body's cues when it's warning you. You don't physically exercise or take care of your body. You don't eat right. You don't take time to rest or, care for yourself, like massages, salt baths, stretching, yoga. Those kind of things can throw your whole life out of balance. So we think of the mind, body, spirit triangle. If one of those elements is out of alignment, you're going to feel those symptoms that I mentioned before. It's just going to feel stagnant. You're going to feel stuck. You're going to feel blocked. It's going to just feel like it's not flowing. So that may be another area to consider when you're thinking about alignment. Okay, so chakras, mind, body, spirit. Another one is your soul purpose. Okay, that job that I was in, for example, was definitely part of my purpose, but it wasn't my soul's purpose. Okay, if you're in a job that is simply part of the 3D matrix to earn money and pay your bills, but it's life sucking and it makes you tired and stressed and anxious, and you don't feel like you're receiving anything from it, there's no fulfillment, there's no excitement, that is going to throw everything out of balance. When you feel like you're using your gifts, when you feel like you're helping other people and you're making an impact, that brings all those beautiful feelings that I mentioned before. You're going to feel alive. You're going to feel like inspired, excited. You're going to have energy and vitality to do your work because it is aligned with your soul's purpose. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, I'll just mention this last one as another area of our lives that we forget about, and that is timeline alignment. Okay, you're probably hearing this word a lot right now, but when you make choices that take you back to an old timeline, you're going to feel so much friction because your soul and your spirit is calling you to a higher path. So if you know, like I know for me personally, this is what I'm meant to do. I'm supposed to be a guide for other people who are going through an awakening. I know that I'm supposed to create art. I'm supposed to follow those inner cues that light me up inside. But if I'm instead choosing to go backwards and stay comfortable, and I go back to trying to work in a normal job again, which, by the way, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do. And I think a lot of you are in the same boat, working the 9-to-5 job. I just can't even wrap my mind around it anymore. But if, let's say, you have to, for some reason, you go back to that 9-to-5 matrix kind of framework, it's going to feel so uncomfortable, okay? Because it's out of alignment with who you are now. It's out of alignment with the timeline that your soul is calling you towards, okay? You're here to be a teacher. You're here to be a leader. You're here to be a healer, whatever it is. If you're going backwards to what your old self did and the kind of life you lived before, that timeline misalignment is going to throw everything off. So really pay attention to that and listen to where your intuition is guiding you. When we go against the grain, okay, when we don't stay on the timeline that we're called to, when we surround ourselves with the wrong kind of people, when we aren't living in our purpose, when we're not listening to our bodies, the universe is going to continue challenging you, okay? It's like, oh, you said you wanted this, and you said that you never wanted to go back to doing that again, all right? So here's a situation. We're going to test you on that, right? So it's like, if you never wanted to go back to the 9-to-5 job ever again, the universe might challenge you with, financial situations. Like, okay, show me, like, if that is truly what you say you want, you're not going back there. Now show me that you can stay faithful, you can stay resilient, you can stay disciplined, you can follow this path that you said you were committed to. Show me. And it's going to challenge you. It's going to throw like all these obstacles in your way. It's like, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Let's just make sure. And each time that those challenges come up, if you remain faithful to your path and you pass those tests and you steer yourself away from those situations that are pulling you backwards, the universe will reward you. It's like immediately after you say no to the one thing, the thing that you really wanted is going to show up every time. It's like, okay, you let go of that person, that relationship, you leave that job, okay, and then there's going to be the challenges, and then right after you overcome the challenges, boom, things start clicking, things start flowing, you start moving into that space that you wanted to be. Okay, with that, I think I'm actually going to end this message right here for today, because I want to save time to give justice to some of the ways that you can bring yourself back into alignment. I don't want to just rush over that. So I'm going to make another video on ways to bring yourself back into alignment. This is going to be kind of the theme of the month of November. If you want to go deeper into this topic, there's a link below where you can receive a free life inventory worksheet that helps you self-assess which areas of your life are not in alignment. That would be a great way to start. And then from there, of course, is doing the really hard work of actually doing something about it. And that's where it is helpful to have somebody keep you accountable. It is helpful to have specific tips and resources that you can put into place to stay consistent and accountable to making those changes to bring your life back into alignment. So stay tuned. I will be coming back with another video on that topic. In the meantime, if you want to reach out to me, my email is listed there. You can also book a call with me to go deeper into this subject. It is something that I've learned a lot about recently. I'm trying to share real time some of the things that I'm learning and doing as well. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you for your patience with my new recording studio and this more informal style. Please let me know anything that you are struggling with in your life to bring into alignment, or things that you're noticing are causing you friction, and I would love to make more videos to help support you in any way. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Take care.